development days that our districts are putting us through, and hopefully you're getting as much information as possible to help support yourself and your students as we are progressing towards our new lives as teachers during our global pandemic with COVID. So before we get started, I wanted to introduce a few people among our NYSTEEA Executive Board. First off, I'd like to introduce Matt McGuire. He is our current president. Matt, would you like to say a few things?
Hey guys, thanks for joining us, and hopefully you guys have a great start to the year. Feel free to reach out if there's anything that NYSTEEA can do. We're all in the same boat together trying to figure out what we're doing this year. So anything you're willing to share or questions you have, feel free to reach out.
Perfect. All right, the next person I'd like to introduce is Melissa Hurt. Would you like to say a few things?
Hi, everybody. I'm the Northeastern District Vice President, so if you ever have any questions, please reach out to me.
All right, and next I have Leif Sorgel. Would you like to say a few things, Leif?
Hey everybody, I'm the membership secretary for NYSTEEA. So if you have issues with membership, you can try to flag me down and we can figure out a solution. Nice seeing everybody.
All right, next I have Henry Strata. Henry, would you like to say a few things?
Yes, hi. Hope everybody's having lots of fun preparing for the school year. I'm the Southeast District Vice President. If you need any kind of help or if you want to track down questions, I probably have more free time than anybody, so let me know.
Thank you. Tanya Lackey.
Hello, this is Tanya. I am the now the New York State Master Teacher Liaison for NYSTEEA. I am stepping down from the Executive Secretary position, so I believe that position is still open. If anyone's looking to take a position on the board, you can contact me with any kind of questions.
All right, thank you. And Scott Gray.
Hi, I'm Scott Gray. I am currently the new Professional Development Chair, and I'm going to be working with everyone on the executive board to bring more things like this for everyone. So if you guys are interested in being a presenter and would like to present at one of our next teacher talks, please reach out to me and we'll get you on the agenda.
Awesome. And lastly, Caitlin Bowen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know some districts are already back, like myself, so I'm still in my work clothes. I haven't even gotten changed. It's been a long day. So I'm so glad to see all these participants. We have 40 people on the call. That's great, especially for the back to school time. I am currently the vice president of NYSTEEA. I'm so excited to see this many people come together. Thank you to our presenters today. And I'm excited to pass everything over to Scott and Brooke. I know they're going to continue to do a great job with our professional development. Our one thing that I did want to mention is that we're hoping to start making our professional development for members. So if you are not a member of NYSTEEA, please make sure that you go on the NYSTEEA website and you join. We want to continue to have these awesome opportunities of collaboration and have as many people on these Zoom calls as humanly possible. So thank you again for your time, and I'm going to pass it back over to Brooke.
All right, thank you. I can't remember if I introduced myself, but my name is Brooke Ebersold, and I'm the event planner for NYSTEEA, and I'm new to this role, so hopefully everything goes well tonight. So how this night is going to be formatted is we will have, again, welcome, and we will have 5 minutes of presentation per presenter. After the presentation, we'll have about 3 minutes of general questions. And then at the end, after each presenter has finished, we will have breakout rooms where we will be put into smaller groups of your choice, and that will be for 15 minutes. So we'll have lots of time to collaborate, and we'll hear from some great people, including myself. All right, so our wonderful presenters have shared some of their documents with all of us today. So make sure to look at the nystea.org/teacher talks website, and you'll be able to access all of these documents that have been shared with us. So before we get started with presenters, I did want to make a quick note that some of the programs that will be mentioned tonight have not been verified as Ed Law 2D compliant. And it's important that if you plan on using any new programs or websites, to verify through your data privacy officer in your district, to make sure that your district has made those agreements with these companies, to make sure that you're keeping student and teacher data safe while giving students the best education that you can. So the first presenter of the evening is Scott Gray, and he's going to be presenting on Onshape and online AutoCAD. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'm gonna hand it over to Scott.
All right, Brooke, thank you. I'm going to, let's see, I want to make sure you guys can see what I've got on the screen. So tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about what I teach and some of the software that I've been using for the past 6 months while we've been in COVID mindset here, and what my plans are for the next couple weeks once I start back to school. So one of the things that I teach is right now I currently teach in Middleburg High School. I teach 7th and 8th grade technology. My 7th graders are doing rockets, bottle rockets. My 8th graders are doing CO2 cars. And then I teach design and drawing for production with my 9th grade students. I also have an architecture class for my upper level students. I teach a materials processing class where I do everything from woodworking to welding to plastics molding and injection molding and thermoforming. We got a pretty good sized shop where I have 3D printers. I've got a CNC machine. I've got a laser machine. And unfortunately, we're going to be starting our school year off this year fully remote for a week or so. And then because of health reasons and my son, I am not actually going to be returning to the classroom. I'm going to be working here from home for the first at least 10 weeks of school. So I've been really trying to scour the internet for things that I could potentially be doing with my students, since I'm not going to have the opportunity to do that kind of hands-on work with my students this year. I also haven't really been given that much guidance, and I'm curious when we get into our little side talk, our side bar of what you guys are being told you can do in your classrooms. One of the things that I'm a little worried about is my principal is not totally on board with us doing a lot of hands-on activities with students because of the camp contamination problem. So I've been really trying to find things that I can do online, and especially since I'm going to be working from home. I also do not have one-on-one devices in school. So one of the problems we're going to have is to make sure that every kid can be connected to software that is available to them. So one of the first things that I wanted to show you tonight is a piece of software, if you haven't been familiar with, called Onshape, which if you do use Autodesk Inventor or SolidWorks, Onshape is the next closest thing to both of them. It probably is a little bit closer to SolidWorks than it is Inventor. That is completely 100% online and free. All it takes is for you to tell your students to point to their website and create an Onshape account. And basically they just use their school email address, create a password. And when they open the software, it basically looks like this. And you can see that I've got some things that I've already started in Onshape. I've got some files that we worked on in the spring. So for an example, I did a project with students where they had to calculate the size of a gear, and I did a engineering project where they had to calculate gear ratios and design a gear that I then in turn from this software printed to our 3D printer. So this software is fully capable of producing an STL file if you have a 3D printer. So right from the software, you can send it right to, I have a MakerBot. I can send it right to my MakerBot, put it in MakerBot desktop, and be able to print it within seconds of drawing it. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes and just show you some things that I've done with it. As you look here across the top, you can see this nut is a nut that I actually brought in from McMaster Carr. I went to their website and I downloaded a CAD drawing. So I show the students how to download existing parts from parts companies like McMaster Carr, Granger, and so on. Then I also had students do something. Here was a project that I did where I had the students create a transition cone. I did some pipe work with the students as well. So I show them how to make a pipe. And then this was just a project where I showed some surface of revolutions with them. And then one of the big projects that I do, which is something I'm going to continue to do in my classes because just about every student has an old Lego kit at home, is I'm going to have the students build Lego pieces in Onshape. And this is an example of one of the Lego pieces that we did. I'll open this one up so you can see the detail of it. So without me getting in a lot of detail of what the projects can look like in here or how they actually are built, if you've used Inventor or SolidWorks, it's pretty much identical to it. It produces parts very quickly. You'll notice the design tree on the left side of the screen looks very similar to both Inventor and SolidWorks. It's got all the same bells and whistles that SolidWorks and Inventor have. So a lot of the icons and things that you see across the top of the screen and down the design toolbar, you're going to realize right away. And I did not get any formal training in Onshape whatsoever. I watched a couple of their tutorials at the beginning, and within a couple of hours, I was teaching it. So I wanted you guys to be aware that it's out there. It's a very powerful piece of software. It's completely online. It's not a memory hog. It's not a video hog. So if you have a student that's using a Chromebook or using a computer that's not necessarily the best graphics card or best video, it works fairly well. I'm working on a little older laptop right now, and you can see, hopefully on your end, you'll see that the graphics are pretty quick, and you can put a lot of detail into it. So without me taking a ton of time, I don't have a ton of time right now, but if you go into the breakout room, I can go into detail and show you how to actually create a part. So that's one of the things that I'm going to use this year. Another thing that I wanted to show you is Autodesk came out with a web version earlier in the year. And if you're not familiar with Autodesk products, or if you haven't used Autodesk products, about 6 or 8 years ago, Autodesk basically changed their pricing policy, and they opened up their entire suite to education. So can you guys still see my screen? Does it say Autodesk right here right now? Yes? Okay. They completely opened up their product line to education, to where you just have to apply. It's just an email basically that you send, and you get a grant to basically use the entire Autodesk suite. So if you go to their website and you look, excuse me, I'm letting some people in here. If you look on the upper right-hand corner of their website under menu, you will see that there is a students and educators link, and it takes you to all the files and options that are available for students and educators that's on the free site for Autodesk. And it basically opens the door to 30-something pieces of software that's available to you. So you can actually download the full-blown version of AutoCAD, Inventor, Fusion 360, everything is there. You can use SketchUp. So I just wanted to point this out because a lot of people don't realize that this is all free and available to every school. But I also want to show you too, is if you have students that don't have a computer that's capable of running AutoCAD full blown, Autodesk came out with a watered down web-based version of it that is right now on my screen. If you're seeing it say Autodesk AutoCAD right here. Yes? Okay. This version is completely web-based. And if you create a brand new drawing, let me give it a name. You can choose whether you want to be an imperial or metric. And when it opens up, it looks very similar to AutoCAD. It does not have all the bells and whistles of AutoCAD. Please don't do this to me right now. It's opening. It does not have all the bells and whistles of AutoCAD. I'm going to open this file up instead. But it has most of them. So if you are familiar with the old school version of using macros and knowing commands, that is something that you can easily do in this. But it also has a lot of the familiar AutoCAD product commands like line, polyline, spline, and all that. So here's an example of a project that we did for one of my students. They were a go-kart racer. They brought in an image into this software, and then they traced the image and they created a laser light, basically an LED light. You can buy these hockey pucks now on, I call it a hockey puck, but it's a Amazon light that you can purchase that has LEDs in it. And I buy 3/16 acrylic, and we cut it out on our laser machine and engrave it on our laser machine. So this is an example of a student project that was done at home, and very quick project that a student did, and they can export this as not only a drawing file, but a DXF file, and obviously send it to like our laser or our CNC machine. So I wanted to point out that that's out there. So I will be spending about 15, 20 minutes with anyone that wants to learn more, where I can get a little more in depth with this. Or if you ever want to reach out to me, you will have my email address that you can get in touch with me and I can tell you more. So unless anybody has any questions, I see the chat is alarmed up here. So let me see if there's any specific questions. Looks like no, unless I'm missing something.
Nope, there was just a couple back and forth about whether or not Onshape was Ed Law 2D compliant, and I just recommended that each person worked with their data privacy officer in their own district. And I started realizing that even still some, like my district might have an agreement with a vendor, and then the neighboring district is saying, no, you can't use that, resource.
Exactly.
So make sure you're
That's why I
just
hate to
working
say
in
it.
your local district with your data privacy officer.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much, Scott. If you have any other questions for Scott, feel free to drop it in the chat or join his breakout room later. Okay, Brooke.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Scott, would you mind stop sharing your screen? That
Yep,
way I
there you
can
go.
share mine.
There you go.
No, don't do it. All right, let me just bring it back up. All right, so our next presenter of the evening is Leif Sorgel, and he's going to be sharing resources for a flipped classroom with a hybrid schedule. I know many of our districts are going to hybrid schedules, so I'm very interested to see how this presentation goes. So Leif, I'm gonna hop back off and stop sharing my screen again and let you take the floor.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. Leif Sorgel. I work at Peru Central School in the high school currently. So I'm mixed 9 through 12. Scott and I have similar schedules where we teach a bunch of different classes, and some of them are material processing heavy too. So going into this year, it was difficult to plan, if at all, but how can I stay hands-on when we're remote? I'm fortunately having the opportunity to do 2 days with my kids a week, and then 3 days virtual, and then flip-flop. So I see different kids on different days of the week, and we'll see how long that lasts. But that's where I'm planning, at least, or our district's planning to start. Before I begin, I'm just gonna post something in the chat real quick that was emailed to me that was requested to share. It's a long one, sorry, but if you are just listening, I'll give you a quick 2-second paraphrase. Is our friends at SUNY Oswego wanted to reach out and say that we are still going to have our annual conference, but it looks like it'll be held virtually. It'll be the 81st annual conference, October 29th through 30th. And if you go to fallconference.com, they're going to have details updated when they figure out all those details. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly share my screen and go over my plan and some available resources that I'm gonna let you guys steal from me if you wanna use something similar in your classrooms as well. So let me share. Looking at someone give me a thumbs up if they can see my screen. We're good, all right, perfect. So I'll list it in the chat, but my website that I use for a classroom is sorgel.com. There's not a lot of Sorgel, so I was able to get that domain name. And in the homepage, I have a resource, if you just scroll down, a series of, I called them, just because I was brainwashed in college, knowledge and skill builders. And those are kind of a written activity where you get a little bit of information and then some questions or a quick applied version that you could do at home, getting to know some skills and knowledge that you just learned about. So how I'm going to navigate this hybrid scenario is I'm going to have the kids get all the content with some written work, some demonstrations and video clips, and some knowledge practice before they get to school. And that way, when they are in my classroom, they can make use of their time in a better fashion because I'm going to see them significantly less. So for example, if we're going to go over a welding process, I want them to learn about that welding process and learn about the equipment on video or through my little question and answer sheets ahead of time. And then I can do quicker demonstrations and then get them to practice a lot faster rate. So what do these look like is if you were to click on that link, it's a PDF that you guys can download. And I kind of compiled it as a digital workbook. I made this myself. So if you're, might want to proofread yourself. This is not a certified published thing. But why this is neat is I was doing worksheets for all the years I've been teaching. I kind of kept them in the same format. And then recently I just compiled them into one document. And why that's cool, I found recently, is the kids can download this as well. And I have everything hyperlinked. So it's kind of like a rudimentary app where if they say, okay, we're working in whatever class and we're doing some manufacturing project, they could click on manufacturing. It brings up different sections in it and they can learn about jigs and fixtures. They have a brief information, 1 or 2 pages max. They have some questions, and then as applied as you can get, an applied use of those skills that they just read about and learned about. So that is free for you guys to use if you want. There's a lot of resources there. I think I might update this and put it into a form that's easier to grade, or it's automated to grade, but I'm going to do that over time. So that's up for you guys. Copy and paste that into a form. Where I got the idea to put it into a PDF though, and I will add this website in the chat as well, is there's another great website called technologystudent.com. And this guy I've never met, but he's based in the UK. So you're gonna have to change, if it says color, you're gonna have to drop the U out of that spelling, but all the information is great. And he has the same process where he linked all of his resources into PDF format. And then you can have the kids download it or save it to their phones or their devices or their Chromebook if they want to. And it works as an app, and his is formatted a lot nicer too. So his has more simplified screens for links to different resources. And he has similar activities where you're gonna apply that as best you can without being hands-on in the classroom. The last thing I'm gonna share real quick before I'm done is on my website below this, I'm gonna plan on doing a lot of quick video tutorials while the kids are in virtual mode that they're gonna look at, and then they have to apply them in real life and make use of the classroom time. So I'm gonna start the year by having an activity where they learn the process to learn through a video clip. Just like that's a skill, and just like any skill, you need to learn how to do it. So that link is right underneath my workbook. And I did this last year when we were remote, and it worked really well. So you guys can steal that assignment if you want to. And what it entails is looking up a skill that they don't know how to do yet, not related to technology education, or it could be. And they have to find a video clip and try to teach themselves how to do it. And I gave them some examples that they could use too, like how to juggle or how to learn how to whistle. And then they kind of have an interactive thing. They have to show their skill that they're trying to master themselves too. All right, so in my breakout session, I can go into a little bit more detail as to what I'm doing with the flipped classroom, but that's the gist of it.
So we had one question for you in the chat box from Robert. Do you assign a quiz to ensure that they actually watch the videos?
That's a great question. So I have an activity that they need to do, and they need to get the content from it. But then I found a lot of kids asking questions, and clearly if they watched the video, then they would have found the answer. So they didn't watch it. They just tried to do the questions. So a website I can type in the chat in a second, edpuzzle.com. Is great because you can embed questions into a video. So they have to watch 2 minutes of the video clip, and then there's some questions to move on. And I haven't found anything that's comparable to that. It works so well and it's relatively easy to use. It does require you to do a little bit of prep ahead of time to set it up though. That's edpuzzle.com. But yeah, I ran into that same thing. Kids just weren't watching my lovely face on the screen.
All right, all set, Leif? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again for our next presenter. Our next presenter is Alden Turton, and he is focusing on a virtual technical career panel discussion. So Alden, I'm going to go ahead and unshare my screen again, and I'll let you take the floor.
All right, thank you. Let me just get the right document up here. Sorry. I'm having some difficulties over here. Just bear with me, please. Okay.
While we're waiting, just another cool tool that I just learned about today, actually, and I can drop it in the chat box, but it's a Chrome extension. It's called IORAD. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's basically a way to capture what's happening on your screen and do like a tutorial through, this is where I clicked on this website, this is where you navigate, and you can also embed questions. So I haven't played with it yet, but I know a couple other teachers that have used it for creating tutorials with SketchUp and other, it would work with also Onshape that Scott talked about. So check out that resource as well.
All right, I'm not loving the screen that I picked here, sorry. Oh my gosh.
Alden, we can see your screen.
You see my screen, right, okay. So is it showing a full screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. My screen's not quite full screen. All right, great. So I'm also having a problem with my camera. It looks like my forehead is giant and shiny. It's not the way I remember it last time I looked. All right, that was just a little humor. Okay, so I want to let you know I'm from Alden High School. I'm in Western New York. I've been a technology teacher here for quite some time. And I've taught a variety of classes over the years. Currently, I'm working as the work-based learning coordinator. Been doing that for a few years. And also I teach intro to trades and computer apps, information technology, things like that. So that's what I've been doing. And part of what we went into last spring was this virtual technical career panel discussions. And I'm just trying to get to the right screen here. I'm not sure what was showing on mine as it was showing on yours. Sorry.
We're still seeing the same virtual career panel discussion screen yet, Alan.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, this is it's confusing on my side. I'm not sure what's going on here. I may have shared the wrong screen or something.
Go ahead and stop sharing and try to reshare if you want,
Yeah.
Alden.
Okay, that's what I'll do. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's still sharing the same thing.
Okay. All right. You want to skip to the next person? I'll see if I can figure out my stuff here.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, that works.
All right. Thanks.
All right, okay. So okay, I am gonna stop your screen sharing just so you're aware, okay?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, just making sure that you know what I'm doing on my end. Okay, so we did have an additional presenter, Melissa Hurt, who I had mentioned earlier. She is going to talk about a list of online resources that will be valuable for us tech ed teachers teaching in our current situation. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen again and let Melissa take the floor.
Oh, gotta unmute myself here. So now I gotta find my screen. All right, now I lost everybody, but can you guys see my screen? It should say Edpuzzle on it.
Yep, we see it.
Okay, so here's my list of resources, and I pulled up Edpuzzle since that was already mentioned. So I'm gonna try and highlight the ones that you see here in yellow. But I'm gonna jump right to, I don't know what order these are in. I just quickly pulled up all the tabs. So here is Edpuzzle. In Edpuzzle, there are already pre-created videos. So all of these that you see here that are on my list, I use these in the spring and they're already all created videos, so I didn't have to do anything. On my resources list, I get to Edpuzzle, I try to go through and tell you if they are free or not. So Edpuzzle is free. You can store up to 20 of your own videos, but then you can go back in and you can delete some out. But a lot of these are already created and they really don't need any editing. So what happens is if you click on the video, you can assign it to your kids. Everywhere down here where there's a little, looks like a little raindrop, that's where there is a question embedded into the video. So the kids will watch the video and the questions will pop up over here on the side. So that's how Edpuzzle works. There is another one that is similar to this and I can't recall the name of it right now. I also heard somebody say something about making an app. Here's an app that I created, and this is just done in a Google presentation. Change the orientation, and then the kids can save it to their screen. So on here, I just played around. So I picked some things that I might want to frequently get to and put them into this little app. So if I click, when I'm on my phone, when I click on these things, they go to these individual websites. So this is something actually we talked about and in my building, is actually doing this where the kids could create this app and then it could go to School Tool, the district website, go to Google Classroom.
And that's just Google Slides, right?
This is just done in a Google slide and these are just all linked. This is just linked to the different websites that are here. And yes, it's just done in a Google slide. The orientation is what makes it look like an app on your phone. I could pull it up on my phone later on. But so I just kind of had fun with this. This came from, again, I don't know where it is in here. I'm not sure if it came from this gentleman, Ditch the Textbook. A lot of times what I do is I just Google, I don't know, I get down that rabbit hole and I find one thing and I Google it and I learn about that and then I Google something else, but it all started looking for something totally unrelated. So that was creating an app. This guy, Ditch the Textbook, he has a ton of stuff that are here, back to school activities, and a lot of things that he has on here. He's basically saying, hey, don't create it yourself, just take my stuff and run with it. This, I think I spent a full day just looking through stuff that he has on here. Applied digital skills. This is from Google for Education. They have a ton of different activities in here, and the way that all of these work, these are all linked to Google type products. So if they go into these and they start these activities, are all video based. So there's a video where they can play it, pause it, and actually go ahead and do it. There's some extras at the end. So those kids that finish quick, they can do the extension activities, but they just go through and they click on next. If you have your kids sign up with the code, you can actually keep track of their progress and where they are. This one is very similar to the other one, CS First, but this is all based on coding. This has extension activities at the end too, so those kids that finish early, I mean, I had one girl finish a whole activity in one period while the other ones are taking 4 periods to get through. So like this Code Your Superhero, works along with Scratch. So you have to have the kids have a Scratch account. So again, depending on your Ed Law 2D. Same with this, depending on Ed Law 2D. I still not have gotten an answer from my district. This is Google for Education. I would assume that it is Ed Law 2D, but I'm not sure. Let's see, what's the next one? If Then, this is another website that I came across. This is all about women in STEM careers. So they'll have little captions about each of these. They have educational resources. They have a ton of stuff in here. Emojis. One of the things that I used in my Google Classroom this year was emojis. And one of the resource teachers said it was great because the kids could easily follow along in my stuff because it wasn't all paragraphs. They could kind of jump around and see what they needed to do in here instead of trying to, some teachers put this big long paragraph up of their activities to do. Hyperdocs, if you haven't used Hyperdocs, these are great because the kids can link out to all sorts of different places. So there's a whole website on Hyperdocs. It gives you some templates, already a ton of resources already created. So again, not recreating the wheel. Everfi, if you haven't used Everfi, this is totally free software. They have the resources that you need. So it's detailed, everything that you need. The course, this one I really like for the kids. They go through and they got game development, data champions. This is a new one, so I haven't done this one. Medical machines. I don't know if my sound's playing here. Home of the future, perfect playlist. And this one, they do some 3D modeling in it. So Everfi has some great programs that they have, and this is all free software. That one, this is Ed Law 2D. They will work with you and make sure that you get it all done so that it fits with your Ed Law stuff. This will give you all sorts. I don't want to pull it up because it's got my kids' names in it, but it will give you all sorts of reports for all the different activities that you do. This has stuff for technology, for science, math, health, ton of resources here. Instructables, if you're not familiar with Instructables, a project that I plan to do with my group, maybe as an extra, is actually created an Instructable. Because if you can actually explain how to do something, make something, it will really show that you understand the concepts. So Instructables has a contest. All sorts of these change all the time. So they're, and the kids could do, you could pick one for them to do, or even just for fun, that kid that's kind of bored at home. Let's see what's next. Oh, PBS Kids. There are a lot of lessons in here. So there's things to watch, there's things to design, things to build. Design Squad. Also Zoom has a bunch of different resources with all sorts of lessons already pre-done for you. Same with like engineering, EGIF, that one is another one. This is Pitsco. I'm not advertising for Pitsco, but they have a page that has just some different, again, these activities already set up for you. You can download them. Middle school level, they have these little newsletter type things that are downloadable. And this is their advertisement for them. So we stay up here, this is all stuff that you can download for free. ThingLink. I haven't really used ThingLink except for to play around in it. But what you can do is you can put little buttons in here, and when you mouse over them, they can tell you some different things that are in here. Crash Course Kids. All sorts of stuff about engineering. What is engineering? The engineering design process. The videos are short. If you do the whole engineering design, I believe it's a whole 30-minute video. So again, already created stuff. Some little advertisement here, CTE TAC. If you're looking for information on the middle school new CTE mandate, that is all in here. Also too, they have some great rubrics. So if you go in here to these rubrics, if you click on these, you can select the ones that you are interested in, and then it will only show those. You can export these out. There's awesome rubrics in here. Again, you can get lost in this stuff. NYSTEEA, if you're not a member, you should join. They have their new, the new STELs that are out, and of course, NYSTEEA. So if you are not a member of NYSTEEA, you should join. We're hosting this wonderful evening for you tonight. So if you want more information on those resources, and there's a lot more on here that I didn't even get to, you can meet me in the breakout room. I think you're gonna have to stop sharing my screen because I lost my screen.
Thank you, Melissa. That was a lot. That
Awesome
was a
work
lot.
you have, Melissa.
There was a couple questions for you. So one question for you was from, oops, sorry, with sharing screens, I just lost my chat. From
One of them was
Tanya.
Tanya.
Yep.
Yep.
So do this. So when you were doing the slides, making the app in Google Slides,
Mhm.
do the students have to open the app in Google Slides or on their phone? Can they do it?
What they do is there's directions. I think I had directions right in mine on how to, what they have to do is they view it in Safari. On the bottom of their screen, they can, there's an arrow. Basically, they're adding it to their home screen, which you can do with any website out there. You can just add it to your home screen. So you're really just adding this to your home, to your phone, and then it will pop up and work like an app. There are other ways, so they can't use the next buttons on it and stuff like that. That was way too much into it for me, but they're just downloading it onto their phone.
Awesome. David gave a shout out for If Then. He likes that resource. There was a couple questions going back and forth, and Jim sent me a private message. Does anyone know if there's a way to add emojis on a Chromebook? If you do, please drop it in the chat.
Emojis, there's some websites for emojis, and you literally just copy and paste them into anything, just like you would. The emojis go in as text, not as images. So somebody put one in there. I think Matt did. Emoji keyboard is one. Emoji copy is another.
Awesome. And then a shout out to Dawn. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Awesome.
Hey, Brooke, go ahead.
All right, sounds good. So Alan, I just wanted to touch base with you. Do you want to try presenting?
Yes, I think I figured it out.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep, I think the problem was that I had it open in PowerPoint, and when I went to presentation mode, it split my screen. So hopefully this is better now.
Awesome.
Look good, same title screen? Okay.
Yep, looks good, Alan.
All right, thank you. All right, so just a real quick background. I've been doing the work-based learning for about 10 years in Alden. We kind of started up then. A wide variety of topics that we've covered. Last year was our first year of running, the year before, first year of running this Atlas team, Alden Tech Leaders of Students. They do tech support across the district with a focus in the high school. And then last year we started Bulldog Manufacturing, which is a student-based enterprise out of the tech department, with the things listed there. You know, everything from welding, laser engraving to the actual business and marketing side of things too. So that's what our program kind of looks like. This is just a quick glimpse of how we have promoted our different events for our manufacturing trades career panels. I think the most important part of this that was inspiring to me was, so we had we had this annual technical career day we've been doing for 6 or 7 years. And industry partners come in, fill up our gym, our whole tech wing, and just talk with students, do demonstrations. We have a room set aside for panel discussions with a variety of trades there, and just talking to students and teachers, which is great, even non-tech teachers, enlightening them on opportunities in their different fields. And so ours was coming up in March, end of March. And when COVID hit, we couldn't do that. So a couple of the girls in our school were planning to do interviews of some of the industry partners, and they asked if we could do something else. And the next day school was closed, and then we reconnected, and they wanted to do this. We came up with this virtual career day, or panel discussion. So I reached out to my industry partners that would have come to the event, and I asked, well, actually before that, I asked the girls, what do you want to talk to them about? And so these were the topics that they had. So I said, if there's a girl, or not a girl, if there's a student, and these happen to be the girls, that were willing to moderate and reach out to the industry partners, then I will select some and then give you the email information, and then you can contact them and pick a time and date and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we did. I have linked here, but I also threw it in the chat, the links to these various panel discussions. You may not want to watch them right now, but maybe copy paste them for later. These are the topics that we did in March. Well, actually April and May, by the time we got them through April, May, and I think the last one's in June. These are the topics. They went extremely well. It was wonderful to see how people in industry are giving of their time. And these were approximately like 45 minutes to an hour was the maximum. And they were really cooperative and inspiring. And I just got to thinking how this worked well for us, and it could work well in a tech classroom, a science classroom, math classroom. If people decided to reach out to industry, you're probably going to get some connections there. In our school, we have very limited visitors right now. We are open 50-50. We go a couple days with half the population, the other half comes the next couple days. So this is going to be working out well. I think I'm trying to spread this model around a little bit. This is kind of how we did it. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but an important part was I asked the students to identify a couple of other students who would do like a dress rehearsal. And we role played and got them comfortable with what to say. We prepared questions and went through things and got them reasonably comfortable. It helped that the first girl that went was actually in theater and things like that also, so she was pretty comfortable. But she set the tone for the rest, and then she helped the others feel comfortable. And then the skills of communicating with the industry partners in a written form was also very good. And some of them got some nice connections. This is something that sprung off of this. Was we did a virtual summer design co-op, and a few students who happened to be the ones that were involved with our virtual panel discussions were also selected for these design co-ops, working with engineers and designers virtually over the summer. And those have continued in some ways right now, which is fantastic. So this is me. If you want to get in touch with me, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, so it looks like in the chat we don't have any questions for you right now, but I'm sure when people join into your breakout room, you'll be able to talk more about this great experience with these girls and networking into professional areas. So thank you.
Thank you. I just want to encourage people to watch those links whenever, and they can watch them in their classrooms too. There's some nice conversations about other topics, engineering, trades, things like that.
Very cool. I'm definitely interested in those. That looks like a really interesting conversation to listen in on. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen once more. And this time, let's see here, I am actually going to present myself. I'm just going to do a quick overview of communicating with parents and some of the things that I plan on doing when we are in this hybrid or remote setting. That way I have less questions from parents and I can focus more on students on a weekly basis, and also keeping track of my contact with parents and students so I can make sure to know when I did it and some of the things we talked about in phone conversations and email, for instance. So I'm actually going to share one of the documents that I'm sharing with everybody in the Teacher Talks link through the NYSTEEA website. So the first one that I'm going to share with you is this PowerPoint file that is actually formatted kind of similarly to how Melissa changed the format of her Google Doc for her app, I changed the format for this to an 8.5 by 11, kind of something that you could also do in Publisher if you have access to that program as well on your computer. And I am going to be sending this weekly bulletin out to my students and their parents on a weekly basis, Monday morning. That way they can both have the dates for the week, reminders, and a weekly overview of what is expected of those students. I know that with hybrid and fully remote kids, parents are going to be more involved in their children's education when the child is at home. So I think it's important to send out this newsletter. That way they can see what we're doing in the week as a quick overview instead of having to look over their child's shoulder and see like, okay, what assignment are we doing next? So this is something that I shared with everybody. And the other resource that I am sharing with everyone, let me quickly switch to the other resource. So the other resource that I wanted to talk about quickly is my parent and student log for contacting. Now, for everyday messages and questions, I wouldn't put that on this. This is more for contacting for back work, bad behavior, things of that nature. So in this document, you will see that I have a reason for contacting along with the student name and date and time and the description of the conversation. And in the parent side, I have the same information, parent contacted, student name, and then I also have included drop-down boxes for reasons why I'm contacting them. So I liked this idea. That way I can look and see, okay, in a quick document, I can see when did I contact them and what came from that conversation. This, for me, is more important for phone conversations. That way you can remember what you talked about as compared to an email where you still have that in your email to reflect on. So I hope that if you want some additional guidance with parent communication and logging this information, feel free to join my breakout room. So now I'm going to go ahead and continue on to the next part, which is breakout rooms. So let me make sure that I can, okay. So this is the part where you are going to have to rename yourself in this Zoom call based on the breakout room number that you want to go to. I will get to the breakout rooms in the next slide, but I just wanted to show everybody how to do this. So when you hover over your own picture, there are 3 dots. And those 3 dots, when you click on it, it allows you to rename yourself. Let me go back. So again, you have mute, and then you have the 3 dots. You'll see the words rename, and you're going to click on the rename button. And that's where you can change your name to whatever breakout room you want to attend. So here are the breakout rooms that we are offering today. I'm just going to quickly review the first one with Onshape and Online AutoCAD. The second one, again, was our resources for the flipped classroom. 3 is our virtual technical career panel discussion. 4 was communicating with parents, that was mine, and 5 is online resources, which was Melissa, and then the 6th breakout room is a general conversation about reopening in schools and other topics that you might want to talk about with other teachers. So if you would like to go ahead and select which breakout room you are going to, now would be a good time to do so.
So I'm on the back end creating the breakout rooms. Please rename yourself so I know where to send you. So those of you who are teaching virtually this year, this is also a nice little tool to use this with your students if you're doing breakout rooms so they can go by topic. And it's it's really useful to just go through. I'm literally just clicking the 4s and dropping them into that breakout room. Clicking the 5s, dropping them into the breakout room. And it's very easy. I'm not even looking at names. I'm just dropping in based on the numbers. So on the back end, it's very easy to organize 33 participants. Okay, bear with me. I'm still, okay, I'm gonna start opening the rooms and I'll keep on adding people. Once you are in your breakout rooms, please be courteous. Remember that we are all in a hard time right now with this pandemic. You know, with everyone having different, either virtually or hybrid or fully remote, especially in a hands-on, you know, technical area like we are. So please keep your positive mindset engaged while you're in those conversations. And I hope you enjoy the breakout room. We are over our time, but we do want to give you time to have conversations in your breakout room. So we're gonna open them for about 10 to 15 minutes and allow you time to discuss in there. So I am going to open them now and continue to send people in. Okay. Shannon, Mark, do you know where you would like to go? Hi, Justin. We just moved into breakout rooms. Would you like
Yeah,
to? Sorry, go
I
ahead.
was listening. I was on the Zoom meeting. I just got disconnected there at the end. Can you put me into the breakout room number 1?
Yep.
Thanks.
Welcome. Did you get the invite, Justin? There you go.
That was fast. The night flew.
Yes, it did.
Sorry, Scott. I tried to give warnings.
I know, the night flew.
All right. Do you want me to go ahead and share the remainder of the presentation, Caitlin, once everybody joins back in?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share
Yeah.
my screen just so everybody can see. And I'm just going to present.
everyone should be back. So
Yes. All right. We should be good now?
yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight's tech teacher talk. I hope that everybody got everything that you hope to get out of this talk tonight, and we would love it if you filled out this survey. Are you putting this in the chat, Caitlin?
It's
I
in
already
there
did.
already.
Okay, perfect. I didn't know if it was in there or not already.
Mhm.
So at this moment, that is all we have for everyone tonight. Please make sure to go back into the NYSTEEA website under the Teacher Talks resources page, and that is where you can find all of the resources that all of the presenters, not only from tonight, but from the previous two talks that we have hosted. And you can go in and see what resources all of our presenters have shared with all of you. And if you have any questions, please make sure to reach out to myself, Caitlin, Scott, anyone on the executive board, and we'd be happy to help. I hope that we can do more of these and have many more presentations that will fulfill us and provide us with the information to thrive in our new normal. Would you like to add a few things, Caitlin?
No, thank you so much. Brooke and Scott, you did a great job. Thank you so much to our presenters tonight. Really appreciate your time. All of us are here volunteering, either presenting and sharing what we know or learning. So thank you so much for joining us on a Thursday evening. And I'll stay on the call until the end. So if anybody needed to stick around and ask any questions, love to have new presenters. So please consider that in the future. And remember to join NYSTEEA, because we are going to start making it for members only. And we really, really want to have our representation in our organization to make it stronger for all of you. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
There's a quick question real quick. How do I know if I already joined NYSTEEA? If you go to our website, which we'll just, Caitlin will link in the chat room right now. And then you try to, you go to the login page. If it's been a few years, you can say forgot your username, just like any other website. And then we can go through that process. And then if you're a new member, you'll see a join now link at the top as well.
Scott, can you send your email quick?
Yes, I can. Let me get back here. Oh, you know what? I did that, but I did it in